Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures. And behold my collection of bags. Aren't they exciting? Well, actually they are. It's always exciting when a Kickstarter I pledged for does make it. And I gotta say, I was probably one of the last people to receive this one. This is just a bit of a teaser, actually, for Tabletop Combat's Desert of the Dead. Now, this was a really cool Kickstarter a couple years back. I have to say that because it actually was, considering COVID and all the fun that that's caused. But it was a really cool set with a very, Arabian desert-themed fantasy army, but it was a lot of undead. It was an elf army of women, Amazonian, dark elf, lizard men standing. I mean, you could use them for just about anything. There was an extensive amount of stuff released during this campaign. There were halflings, there were undead, there were adventurers, there was scenery and terrain, there were monsters, and these are just a few of the character models I grabbed, but the meat and potatoes of the video that we're going to be doing later on is for actually the Kickstarter RPG bundle, which was just a big assortment of various models that were released during the campaign. So I split that in an RPG add-on bundle with a couple other guys, and hopefully we will get to divvy that out, and then I'll show you some of the neat stuff that we got. And it just so happens that by the time I'm posting this, coincidentally, Tabletop Combat has a new campaign starting up, so hopefully we will have a link down there for you below. On to the unbagging, right? So I want to say that this was the Kickstarter exclusive Undead Lord that was basically included with every pledge, I believe. And that is a huge casting gate at the bottom, but that's okay. We can deal with that. I'm not sure what's supposed to be down there with him. A little bit of cleanup necessary, but I've never had any issue with Tabletop Combat's resins. They've always been nice and sturdy. Guess it's just terrain features. 20mm slotted base square, and then his arms. I'm not sure if that's just junk on his sword. We're going to definitely have to clean those up. And to accompany the Undead Lord is another Undead Lord. And this guy totally reminded me of the old, the White King from GW and Finecast. The dude with the big armor, had spikes on his back, big double-bladed, two-handed axe. I always liked that model. I thought this would be a nice desert-themed accompaniment. Considering how many Kickstarters and various desert-themed baddies have come out lately, that'll be a fun one to play around with. Now, in lieu of typical ghouls, Tabletop Combat put out these really cool jackals, actually. So this is the Jackal Alpha, who's got a nice little scenic base there. I guess you could interpret him as a Ghoul King or something along those lines. Head of a victim. Looks like a mummy's head or something. Maybe it's his victim he sucked all the juices out of. And it looks to be a 40mm square base. And then our actual jackal. I mean, you could probably paint him up as a werewolf if you wanted. He definitely has that undead vibe going on with the bony spine structure like that. All his teeth cast, that's always a plus. Nice and scarred up. Is there just the one hand? There's no hand here. That's because it's attached to the base. Okay, and that's where his other foot is. Alright, that makes more sense. Okay. Originally I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just take him off of this base, but it looks like he is going to have to be attached to it. So, that's a deal breaker for you. Too bad, so sad. And to combat this undead menace, I did pick up one of the elves. I got the Elf Queen. And she looked suitably gorge. Yeah, no, she's super blinged out. Gonna need a lot of blues and golds. Definitely some time to clean up. She looks taller than the undead. Maybe it's just the headdress. Maybe this guy's just a little short. Or maybe he's not on camera. He does look a little bit shorter. Interesting. And then since I was in one of the final batches of models getting sent out, I got some freebies. What kind of freebies did I get? Well, we got a goblin. I believe this is from their next campaign. That's interesting that it's got Max Mini on there. Is that who helps who helps do some of Tabletop Combat's resins? I mean, the casting is obviously the same. An interesting conundrum. And then there is an assortment of halfling zombies rising from the grave. Rise from the grave. Now I want to go play. Every time I hear the words rise from the grave, I just instantly want to go play Altered Beast. Welcome to your doom, right? Oh, poor halfling. You got buried in your top hat. Well, these will be fun to just paint up on a quick base. There's a bunch of them. Actually, that'd be a good kind of just rabbly swarm type base. Put like 3 or 4 on there. Now I'm going to have to get some of those Wargame Atlantic ones and just compare how they can fight off their ancestors. Fun stuff. So, give me a moment. I will put these all together. We'll see how they stack up compared to some other models, and hopefully you guys are going to stick around and enjoy. Alright, we got our hero models all cleaned up and put together. Here you can see our Jackal Lord. Still a little bit of cleanup I need to do there. That's okay. On the other hand, I have never had a major issue with Tabletop Combat's resin. It does clean up easily. I just wanted to get these guys put together so I could show them off. I did not use the actual bases that were included. That is a 32mm base he is on at the moment. I'm sure you can mount him on the 40 like he came with. Here's our Undead Lord. You know what? Is it Krell? Was that his name? The White King with the ice axe? I think he was only in Finecast. I love that model, and I'm not really a big fan of the Undead usually. But this guy gives me major vibes like that guy. My only real complaint is he seems a little short. You know, we'll grab our Witch Hunter friend here as soon as I remember where I put him. Then again, he is a skeleton, I guess, so that does make sense if he's a little bit smaller than a human, especially with a fancy hat. The freebie goblin that was included. I actually really like this guy. I know it needs a little bit of cleanup still, but again, I just wanted to get you guys a good indication of what you're getting. I think with some paint, he'll look really nice. If this is what's going to be indicative of their next campaign, I am eagerly looking forward to it. Here is our Elf Queen. I had totally forgotten about that dragon there. I wasn't 100% sure where her sword is supposed to rest. I just kind of stuck it in the nook behind her headdress. At first I thought these scars, they seem to be part of the headdress itself. You can see her knife in her hand there. And again, in comparison, interestingly enough, she's a little bit taller than our Inquisitor friend. She is alive, though. Unlike the Undead. And the last of the Undead, the Kickstarter Undead Lord. Yeah, there's some mold lines there that still need to be cleaning. And what's funny is I thought that a lot of those things were flash and stuff. It turns out they are actually scarabs crawling all over him, which I thought was a pretty cool touch. Yes, I will go back and clean this better. Don't worry, I know it's all super zoomed in anyway. I'm not a fan of the base, though. It feels like somebody took a lump of green stuff and rolled it in some sand and cast it like that. I think they could have done a better job. But again, that's the bottom of it. And who's really going to be paying attention to that other than me, who's going to sit here and like look at it from every angle? Hopefully not many people. I guess he'd still fit on a 25. No, that's not even a 25. That's a 20mm base. If you want to go with a 25mm base, that is totally doable. I wonder if you can get away with that with the Jackal. Probably not. Ooh, just barely. Interesting. I haven't actually seen in person yet the other Jackals, and I'm pretty sure between the giant bags of bits that need to get sorted out, there should be some in there. So I'm curious to see what they're like. And in case you're curious, I do have some of those little halfling zombies cleaned up a bit. These are going to be great base fillers. Those aren't even the best ones. Nobody likes you, halfling. This guy right here. Undead top hat zombie. With what looks to be nice, fancy facial hair still remaining. Because even in death, a halfling refuses to go out without his face dressed. Yep. So I gotta say, pretty cool stuff. And again, this is indicative of what I'm going to be unleashing upon my table when I actually crack into those big ol' RPG pledges. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll see that in the near future. I'm going to just take a quick look through those bags to show you guys what's in there. And if you've never seen or experienced any of Tabletop Combat's resins, they are pretty nice, and they're not in too many pieces usually. They clean up well, and you know, by the time I ever get around to posting it, who knows, maybe that stuff will all be at retail. Most of their figures, I know from their Halfling Kickstarter, almost the entire bulk of it is available now. And I think with the exception of this Undead Lord right here, everything eventually will be available through their website. I know with all the current lockdowns going on in the UK, that might cause some trouble in that regard, but hopefully sooner or later, we will see even more from them. We'll put a link down below for Tabletop Combat's website, and hopefully if we see a new campaign from them on Kickstarter soon, I'll throw a link in there as well for anybody who's just now discovering this. With that said, though, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.